Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. I'm Enfuego here, and I welcome you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment, for a FRESCA FUEGO Rapido review. And this is about Greyhound that just hit Apple TV today. And it is starring Tom Hanks and was also a screenplay by homeboy, Mr. Tommy H., based on the book The Good Shepherd by C.S. Forester from 1955. This is a World War II flick that was originally supposed to get a theatrical release June 12th, I believe, and unfortunately it is another one of the victims of the insane pandemic that we find ourselves in the midst of. And I know Hanks was very disappointed that a big screen World War II epic of sorts that he put together was going to be dumped on a streaming service. Sony Pictures sold the rights to Apple TV, and since I don't even have Apple TV, I don't have one of those little boxes, I had to watch this on my computer. That's a big time bummer, because this is actually one of the better World War II films that I've seen in recent memory. And it takes the Christopher Nolan approach that he did with Dunkirk, where it's brisk and it's relatively relentless, and if you don't include the 10 minutes of credits that we have, this is an 80-minute movie, which for how slow and plotting these sort of war films can be, especially ones on ships, that's kind of a revelation in that regard. And yeah, just to basically give you a little bit about the story, and it is tough with these military and historical just recreations of these sort of tales, because of the fact that often, as I was in this case, people are familiar with what the outcome is going to be, and how do you create tension in that regard. Well, this still, despite the fact that, you kind of know the end game to a degree if you're familiar with the history, there is still a very interesting tale to be told within those constraints. And so we have a brief flashback at the very beginning to December of 1941 with Tom Hanks and his love interest, played by Elizabeth Shue. And he knows that things are in the process of changing, and so on and so forth. He's about to get this command that he's very excited about. And yeah, World War II, the U.S. just stepping into this situation and getting involved is about to transpire. So fast forward to February of '42, which is where Hanks says this Commander Krause, he is captaining his first voyage, basically, with all of these different supply ships that are trying to get across the Atlantic. And so you have air cover at the beginning when you're leaving the east coast of the US, and then of course you're going to have it, hopefully, to a comparable degree once you're approaching London and that port over there. But there is a spot in the very center where the planes just can't fly that far, and it's dubbed the Black Pit, because of the fact that essentially these Allied ships have to get across and somehow deal with all of these U-boats, which are basically these German submarines that are going to try their damnedest to take you out in every possible capacity. The film starts very just triumphantly and just gets you pumped, because that old quote from the naval, oh boy, I forget his name, but I know he was a prominent Civil War guy, damn the torpedoes, and that whole quote, we have a voiceover of that was obviously used to rally these Navy soldiers and stuff in World War II. So you have just a very, it gets you pumped up sort of bit, and then we have that little flashback with Hanks, and then it fast forwards back to him forging this command and stuff. But performances are terrific across the board, and just once again, pacing is a very important thing in this particular film, because of the fact that Hanks, he deliberately decided not to make like a Das Boot, or even that, if we're talking like something in the 90s, I remember distinctively enjoying like Crimson Tide. Yeah, those sort of films, as I said, they can get kind of slow and boring, and I know like ship combat, naval sort of stuff in these military films isn't for everybody. There's a lot of people who like that sort of ground infantry combat. They find it far more compelling. But I dig this kind of stuff, and that's credit to my pops. He's has yet to see this. He doesn't have Apple TV, but I'm going to be like, Dad, you gotta sign up for it. And even if you watch it on your computer, and I know he hates watching stuff on his computer, you have to at least do it. Maybe he'll just wait till home release. But yeah, I mean, once again, performances terrific across the board. Hanks is great in everything, man. He is a legend at this particular point with due reason, and yet he brings an essence of vulnerability to Krause in the fact that this being his first time in command, especially of this magnitude, with America just stepping into this world war, he's got not so much personal demons, but he has self-doubt at times, and he's forgetting people's names, he isn't eating, and that is one thing that I'm sure some people will take exception to, the fact that, his personal chef is this black guy that named Cleveland, that he has like kind of an interesting dynamic / friendship and respect with, and yeah, it's historically accurate, but I could see, especially with, BLM and everything that's going on right now, some may take exception to that, despite the fact that it is how things were back then, for better or for worse. But there is definitely a respect, and yeah, lives are lost, ships are lost. This is a mission that, it takes its toll. And some of my favorite scenes, as far as just getting under your skin in the craziness, is the Germans. They are sending these messages that are coming in, and Krause and his troops have the ability to listen in or to just tune it out, but the Germans are talking shit, and they're saying, "You will die today, your wives will never see their husbands again," and they are just really, really trying to play these head games and stuff, and it's fascinating. There's some of the best scenes in the film, because there's a couple of them, and then they do these crazy whining sounds. He's like, "Oh!" like they're just laughing and mocking the Allies and the Americans and stuff, because I believe this was both Canadians and Americans that were primarily helping to get these supplies over to Britain and the Allied forces over in Europe and stuff. But yeah, man, without getting into too much additional detail, as I praise the performances, I praise the pacing and the scripting and stuff, and it's a very good-looking movie. I forget the name of the director, but he had previously done a film that I think had Bill Murray and Robert Duvall. It was called Get Low, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is not the sort of big-budget fare that this sort of dude had done, and having seen Midway earlier this year, and just, it felt so cheesy and so much more Michael Bay, Pearl Harbor-y to me, in contrast with something like Dunkirk and in this film, which have just performances that don't delve into that area. I feel like there is much more respect instead of hammy, like, yeah-ness, and you do have a little bit of that, obviously, just get you all riled up and, feeling patriotic and whatnot, which I know people have differing opinions about what the essence of that entails currently in this America that we live in. But I'm a registered independent, and I'm not here to slang politics or have extensive social discussion. I am just here to say that, in a conflict where there are not gray areas like we had in stuff like Vietnam, and as people disagree about in the two Gulf Wars and things of that nature, World War II is probably the one where we had every right after being attacked to become involved. It's why so much of the feel-good war stuff, that, even Saving Private Ryan, as horrible as that opening scene is with storming the beach and stuff, there is still, there is something about that Second World War that just, it gives people, pride and valor, and just about every other conflict that we've been involved in has much more gray area and much more discussion. But this is the one that's pretty black and white, cut and dry, man. And yes, this is a movie that will inspire you. It will lift your spirits. And yes, there are still scenes of tension, and it's a damn good movie. That I'm wavering between 3 and 4. It's probably more like a 3.5. That's what I rated it on my Letterboxd. If you guys have any interest in just seeing my starred reviews, follow me on Letterboxd. I've got like 70-something movies I've already watched this year and given ratings to. I don't review every single thing that I watch, so that's a good way to keep a hold of stuff. So I guess I will give this 4 out of 5. Yeah, this is a certified Fuego film. The only reason I would give it more of a 3.5 is because this sort of film might not be for everybody, but it definitely was for me, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. 4 out of 5. Fuego Fireballs, certified Fuego, as I like to say. So I've been the aforementioned Jaime En Fuego, and you can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, which you see below. Here on my personal channel, where I've got a little over a Jeezy, so please like, share, subscribe. It definitely helps me with, just climbing up the ranks. Here I do everything aside from horror. If you like Spooktacular, go over to youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. That's where myself, Cecil, Susie, Robert Duell, and Marcia, we cover everything under the Spooktacular sun. But here on my personal channel, it's everything else that I enjoy about art, whether it's, the occasional comic book review, whether it's television, whether it's film, and I span the gamut. Everything from goofy comedies to nerding out with my Star Wars stuff to art house cinema. I mean, I'm all over the place with my just film appreciation. I've been a pundit and a critic for a number of years at this particular point, and yeah, man, I have a couple other reviews coming in the pipeline this weekend, including the new Charlize Theron movie that is just hit Netflix today, and then also that new Lonely Island film that hit Hulu today. So stay tuned for both of those. The titles are eluding me, but you'll see them on that next video. But once again, arigato danka merci, gracias, say thank you, much appreciated for tuning into this brief review, and until the Reel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, cinemigos, constant readers and viewers alike. I appreciate the heck out of you taking a little bit of time with me today to hear my thoughts on this film, Greyhound, starring Tom Hanks, exclusively on Apple TV, and I hope that we get to share more film palaver sooner rather than later, and until then, stay home and watch more movies. 7-day trial for Apple TV.